podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
We've been much delayed. We didn't plan to have a break, but we've had a break. Have you had a good couple of weeks?
Well, yeah, it's been all right. I was in Bogota in Colombia for a while.
That's actually not what delayed the podcast either, ironically.
No. What did delay the podcast? I can't even remember now. None of us were really available, I think.
It was... We're not mentioning any names, but it was Tom.
Unbelievable. Part-time. He's probably hobnobbing it with some Hollywood types. Although, I don't think the word knob and Hollywood types really should go together anymore, should they?
Ironically, of course, it's because he's anything but a part-timer that we were delayed, because he was working all the hours sent in order to keep a roof over his head. But that's why you didn't have a podcast. So, at Teach Sound for all your complaints.
Yeah, including any accusations of pulling a Weinstein.
You just were determined to plough on with references to how society's terrible at all costs there, right?
Talking of terrible, Manchester United's performance against Chelsea.
I mean...
just the pips. Oh, dear.
Everything about it was bad. Like, it was just... I mean, actually, accusations of Mourinho parking a bus are completely misguided, because they set up to take the game to Chelsea, and for 10 minutes they did, and they retrenched a bit after half time, but in the first half they were open and attacking, and that wasn't on Mourinho, but the performance level was absolutely diabolical.
Yeah, I mean, United certainly didn't pile the bus in the first half. It was actually probably too open, and I have to say I suspected that after half time it would not be so open, and United were definitely a little more consolidated as a unit after half time, but they offered nothing going forward at all. I mean, it's really shocking that in the last I think it's something like 6 shots on target in the last 3 Premier League games. We are struggling to get the ball into the old onion bag, aren't we? And Lukaku's not having a great time. All the confidence in the team seems to have drained out since Anfield, or since Pogba was injured, bit of both. Since Mourinho decided to park the bus at Anfield, which he did, and the momentum that we had before that seems to have disappeared, and it just feels like a pattern now. So, unfortunately, United really offered nothing against Chelsea, especially in that second half. But not that much more in the first half, really.
Well, there was the Rashford chance early on, which was a pretty good chance, and I'm not sure it would have been smashing the XG chart or anything. There's like a chance he should have scored in inverted commas. I'm struggling to remember chances in the second half. Late on, the game changed quite a lot, and for the last 10 minutes there was, or maybe even the last 5 minutes, there was a kind of degree of urgency. I think actually the single worst managerial decision of the day, Antonio Conte takes the honours for his decision to take off Fabregas and bring off Drinkwater when it just looked like a matter of time before Chelsea would get a second on the break. But they kind of surrendered momentum to United after that, and United really applied some pressure. But I don't think Mourinho did a tremendous amount wrong. If you look at the starting 11, it's pretty, given the players available, that's almost the starting 11 I would have picked. I think there was a solid argument to say he should have just dropped Mkhitaryan, because expecting him to find his form under these conditions, given the form he's in, seems pretty ridiculous. But I didn't think any of his substitutions were terrible by any stretch of the imagination. Brought on Martial, didn't take off Rashford. There was a kind of a fairly progressive approach right from the off, kind of maybe because I think City had won earlier that day, right, or the day before, and it was very clear both teams needed a win, and both teams were kind of exchanging punches. The knock against Mourinho really is just that the average level of performance was so drastically low.
Yeah. So the problem I have is that there's a pattern here that United play a top team, quote unquote, and the level of performance drops a lot, quite often. Especially away from home. Is there a coincidence? It just happens to be that United play badly when Mourinho flips around the formation and sometimes the approach. I don't know. I'm not sure there is. And I'm not sure also you can divorce this performance from Mourinho's cowardly criminal decision to park the bus at Anfield. I think that sucked out so much of the momentum from United. Or maybe, we had this debate at the beginning of the season. How good are United? Maybe we're just not that good.
Yeah. I wonder, you see, in a way, my frustration with Mourinho, it's fairly significant at the moment. Like, it's at a fairly high level of frustration with Mourinho. But what I'm trying not to do is fall into an easy trope of just going, because there were quite a few games between and a good amount of time between Anfield and Stamford Bridge. And there was the loss to Huddersfield, 2 victories over Benfica. There was a winner against Spurs at home. You would have thought that maybe some of that momentum would have been somewhat regenerated. But behind the scenes...
Yeah, but what in all of that... And sorry, I'm interrupting you, but what in all of that, all those games, so, beat Benfica twice, home and away, beat Spurs, as you said, away win at Swansea, the defeat at Huddersfield. As you say, a lot of games between Stamford Bridge and Anfield. But what in that really showed that United had some momentum? The Spurs game... Afterwards, we said, won, but wasn't that hard work and a real grind. It's not as if that was some kind of fantasy performance by United. Swansea away, no one really cared that much about that. Huddersfield, horrible. And Benfica twice, both of them were like, oof, just about. United actually very lucky in Benfica to get away with that one, and the keeper threw the ball in the net for a start. And United just didn't play that well, and Benfica had a lot of control. In fact, they weren't that bad at Old Trafford either. We've not talked about that one. So.
That poor keeper. Because he saved the penalty, right? And so Martial is human after all. But I think actually Martial just felt sorry for him, was trying to make the keeper feel better after what happened. But the goal that Matic shot that bounced off the post and hit the back of the keeper's head and went in. That keeper was so unlucky against us. That one wasn't his fault, though, of course, but still.
No, but still, maybe the gods are saying something here. Maybe just give up now. It's not going to. Good keeper though. Yeah, it's not going to happen for him.
He's got a decent. I reckon he'll be all right. Lukaku's nice to him again. That's the main thing. No, I think one of the biggest frustrations about Mourinho is that this has coincided with him making eyes at PSG, and the kind of beginning of the kind of exit strategy, Operation Exit Strategy, was kind of up and running. And that seems like, you mentioned the word cowardly in terms of Anfield. From the outside looking in, that looks really cowardly. Now, I have to say that because I simply could not resist the opportunity to do so, I checked out Duncan Castle's and Ian McGarry's podcast, which is amazing. Like, you have to check it out, because you will leave it absolutely convinced that José Mourinho is a righteous man. Like, the kind of lucidity and clarity with which Mourinho's position was defended. But actually, there was some genuinely interesting stuff. What Castles was saying is that Mourinho is massively frustrated by the level of bureaucracy at the club, not in terms of just the transfer market, but like everything, like changes to the training pitch. They have to kind of, Mourinho asks for them. There's a really long wait before anything gets done because the Glazers don't care about the football stuff. Office furniture, really minor decisions. This big fuss around a plane that was supposed to pick them up in London, and the organisation was wrong. So Mourinho is genuinely frustrated behind the scenes. Now, consider the source, right? This comes from Castles. This is not measured. This is clearly has a specific agenda at heart, but it's interesting to consider that actually Mourinho's frustrations with United are valid in some way.
Look, if this is apparently the job that he really wanted for years and years and was desperate to get and cried when he didn't get it, there's, obviously that version of events is challenged by some people, including Castles. But if it is that, if it's the thing he really wanted, and he gets there and there's some red tape and bureaucracy and things aren't quite as fast as he wants, and he has to fill in a form in order to get a chair or something, and he's going to quit for that, I'm calling bullshit on that. If that's really it, I think that's nonsense. So, of course, maybe that's just the circumstantial evidence he needs in order to make his case for the 25 million euros a year that PSG, are going to pay him or whatever it is, So he's on a fabulous amount of money at the moment. If he's fluttering his eyelids at PSG, it's not because there's some red tape. It's because there's an even more fabulous amount of money on offer elsewhere. And look, I can't believe that going up through the chain of the royal family in Qatar is going to be any less bureaucratic.
The kind of office furniture thing is a sort of a tangent, really. But by the way, I'm just regurgitating what I listened to on someone else's podcast here. But
all right, done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That the real bone of contention is that footballing matters, which Mourinho is supposed to be in charge of. He's really not that in charge of, but there's no one who is. And I have to say, that is a version of United which does intuitively make a lot of sense from the outside looking.
Oh, sure. There is no director of football, so there's no one in between him and Woodward. And Woodward is, his primary objective is to make as much money as possible. Secondary objective is to win trophies, but it's a long second.
And you could see how that would be frustrating if you're a kind of born winning obsessive.
Yes, but what do you think he was getting into? I mean, we know what Mourinho was. Yeah. We've also had 10 years of evidence of what United is as a club. So there isn't much of a sporting structure in the way that most big European clubs are set up. Woodward and the favoured clique of agents are that. And apparently that's so United can move more quickly.
So if you had to speculate on why United was so abysmally terrible against Chelsea, would you just say it's the confidence in the squad is completely gone since Anfield?
Yeah, I think it's a confluence of things. It's definitely not one thing. It's, yes, momentum was sucked out and therefore confidence was sucked out. This is a team that is not used to winning big games over the last few years. Not too many of them anyway. And alongside the formation change, back to a back three, that has very mixed results, that back three, for this United side. So another change in formation, one that United are seemingly unable to sustain. There's very rare occasions where that sort of high pressing block with a back three has been sustained for a whole game and been successful. I mean, away at Moscow, not a very good team.
They were so bad as well. They're not a very good team, but they were also just inept on that particular evening.
A game against Chelsea last season, but how many other occasions? Really?
Yeah, and that Chelsea game was there wasn't even really a back three, was it? There was so many kind of free-floating man markers. I mean, I do feel compelled at this point to point out the very obvious thing, which is that United have been terrible at Stamford Bridge for a decade or more. I mean,
it's also there are no teams left in the Also, there are no players left in the squad from 10 years ago. Michael Carrick, right? So it just doesn't make any difference. I mean, yes, United have a horrible record at Chelsea. Chelsea have also had a pretty good team in that time as well. There's plenty of teams with a horrible record against United at Old Trafford. I just don't know what relevance it has, honestly, from the results from 15 years ago.
I guess it's just to say that we should probably keep some degree of perspective about that performance. When I say we, I don't mean me and you. I think we could probably take as read that me and you both keep some perspective about that performance. I just mean in the kind of broader picture. disastrous performances at Stamford Bridge have been sort of part of the furniture for a long time now.
Yeah, but so disastrous. I think the only context that matters is the context of right now in this season, right? And so the context we've got is that United have 1 win in 4 in the Premier League. They've, beaten up a few crappy teams in cup competitions in between that. And then you've got Mourinho, who's looking for his way out. And having a go at the fans and having a go at the players, and is starting to take on that aura of sort of, tramp who's had a few too many and fallen asleep on a park bench and probably smells a bit of piss.
No, he looked good at Chelsea. I knew you were going to bring that up. I knew you were going to. I looked at the pictures again. He looked good at Chelsea.
But that hasn't been the case for much of the last 2 months. I mean, he's looking like one has definitely flown over the cuckoo's nest.
I want to cite some of the players because it's not much fun to do so. But if we're going to hammer the manager for that performance, there are players that deserve absolute hammering. So.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can start with Mkhitaryan because he's just god-awful.
We were there at Crystal Palace, which I think was the first really terrible game that he played. And it was... Do you remember that? Like, there was one moment where there was a counter-attack opening up and he just played it behind all the strikers. And it was just absolutely, under no pressure, absolutely terrible. And I've seen lots of people say he's tired and he misses Pogba, and it's clearly true that he misses Pogba. But missing Pogba isn't what's kind of causing him to kind of misplace every dribble and, break down counter-attack after counter-attack when actually he is on the ball in good positions.
Yeah, he's not getting much of the ball, though. He's getting sort of 20, 25 touches a game at the moment, which is just not nearly enough for a playmaker. He's also not that kind of playmaker who gets the ball and is the heart of the play. He's not a classic number 10 like Juan Mata. He's a bursty forward, playing a deep-lying forward. And Mourinho seems to like that kind of player more because, if Mkhitaryan isn't in the team, he's going to be Jesse Lingard.
But that being said, he's not getting a lot of the ball. But, I mean, are we saying that he can only function if he gets 50 touches and so 20 of them are good? Because he's an absolute passenger at the moment. He's worse than a passenger. He's a massive liability. I tweeted I was really sad about it, and I got a bunch of different responses, including someone who said, "Please stop destroying Mkhitaryan's confidence." I was like, "It's not me. Definitely not my fault that his confidence is destroyed." But who was saying he's being asked to do way too much defensive work, and it's like, I kind of get that, but what I'm talking about is every time he's on the ball in dangerous positions, he makes the wrong decision or makes the right decision and executes badly. This is time after time after time. Obviously, he's a confidence player. Obviously, there's a big problem with his confidence, but something's got to give because this team, of all teams, cannot afford to carry a passenger in it.
No, and we've got one at the moment. A really big passenger. But look, he wasn't the only person to perform badly against Chelsea, was he? I mean, Rashford didn't have a great game. Neither of the forwards. They barely got a kick, either of them.
Yeah, I think the criticism Lukaku's received is absolutely ridiculous, given what are people expecting him to do? Pick up the ball in his own half, beat everyone and score? Because that's the only way he's scoring at the moment.
They are expecting that, yeah. So, the team is not helping him or Rashford. And in particular, Lukaku is a player who needs the ball into the right spaces in order to do what he does. And that's fine. That's the type of player he is. But, also his confidence doesn't look that high, does it? And the questions will continue to be asked until he changes this. He doesn't have a great record against big teams for United or Everton. And the less confidence he has, the more the ball bounces off his shins, unfortunately.
Never has there been a kind of better statistic to kind of question correlation and causation than the Lukaku being bad at big teams, because he played for Everton, who were bad against big teams.
Oh, sure. Absolutely, but it'll continue to be asked. Everton, especially under Moyes, But also after that as well, we're never going. I mean, maybe he didn't ever actually play for Moyes.
He didn't.
Probably didn't. No. Good for him. Good for him. Lucky man. Unlike some people at West Ham.
We'll come on to that.
About that.
Yep.
We'll come on to that. Yep. So look, Look, what do they have? One season under Martinez when they did really, really well. And apart from that, they were a team that was the sort of, trying to be the best of the rest. So, of course, Lukaku wasn't going to score loads against the big teams because Everton didn't. And we're never going to be that expansive. But still, it's going to be a question that's asked about him until he changes it.
See, one of the crazy things about Lukaku is he's suffering from a kind of lack of confidence. And his manager is on this weird kick that the crowd are on his back. And so I haven't been to there's a couple of games in a row that I haven't been to, Old Trafford. But, everything I've spoken to people that were there, I've watched it on the telly and kind of really listened out to it. And I'm pretty sure the only time the crowd have gotten anyone's back was against Spurs at 0-0 when Mourinho took off Rashford. And there was a kind of collective groaning about the fact that he took off Rashford. And Mourinho's on a fake news kick, which Sky picked it up of Lukaku's been the subject of the boo boys at Old Trafford. And it's I'm pretty sure, based on first-hand evidence of watching it on telly and a load of third-hand accounts of people who were there, this is literally just not happening.
No, it's just made up. And what Mourinho used is the time that Rashford was subbed off for Martial, and there was a groan, right? And the groan could have been one of two things, I think. Either disappointment that Rashford was going off or disappointment that Martial was coming on for Rashford, not just coming on. People want the magic triangle of Lukaku, Rashford and Martial, which we got for a time against Chelsea.
Yeah, it was all right as well.
Though,
it was all right though. They looked like they might make something happen for the first time in that game. Fellaini came on and within 10 minutes of his return from injury had been yellow carded for elbowing a man in the face. Because he's Marouane Fellaini. He was actually the subject of the boo boys, but I think he's the only player that I can think of at United. He might be the only United player that I can think of who's been booed since Ryan Giggs wasn't booed in the 2000s, and everyone said he was.
Yeah, I know. It kicked off a weird debate, I think, amongst United fans, some of whom are insistent that United fans now boo regularly. And it's all the day trippers' fault, of course.
It's just it's mad. It's absolutely mad when you watch these things play out and you just want to shake everyone and go, no, this didn't happen. Mourinho just said it's happening because it serves his interest, but it doesn't, because Lukaku presumably is going to believe his manager. Why would his manager be lying about this and think, oh, maybe they are booing me? It's terrible. We've been singling out players for bad performances. I've got two left on my hit list for this game. One is Phil Jones. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of Phil Jones. I operate on the belief that Phil Jones is good, but he was not good in this game. Majorly at fault for the absolutely abysmal defending for the goal. Not the only person at fault for the defending for the goal, but one of the people who got in a muddle. Not at his best in a back three, Phil Jones, it's fair to say.
No, and Smalling wasn't great either, and not in his best in any kind of back line, really.
Not his best in a football team.
No, I thought Eric Bailly was okay in that game. Neither of the wing-backs really did much good, did they? I mean, in the second half, they were under pressure from Alonso and Zappacosta until... Zappacosta didn't last the whole game, did he? But I didn't think Ashley Young, renewed England international Ashley Young, no longer retired international Ashley Young. And Valencia didn't look like that was his best game either, honestly. In midfield was an even bigger problem, though, because, Matic was all right and does everything very neatly. But Herrera, we want to be the Herrera of last season. He's struggling to replicate that at the moment.
Hamed_Darwish asked us what's happened to Mickey and Herrera. Now, Herrera's the last player that I had on the hit list. Maybe my apart from Paul Pogba, maybe my favourite player. Apart from Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford. My fourth favourite, apart from Juan Mata, my fifth favourite United player at the moment. So this is not a personal thing. I love Ander Herrera, but he's playing absolutely garbage. Now, I think there's a reasonable explanation for this, which is he was essentially retrained in a new position last season and then has come into the side but not to play that role and is caught between two stools has done some decent defensive work, but was dropped at the beginning of the season, doesn't really understand his role in the squad or the team, and is really shorn of confidence. And so his attacking work has been absolutely abysmal. Now, fans have kind of come flying out the woodwork to slate Herrera, and there have been a kind of, minority somewhat who believe he's been somewhat overpraised, and maybe that's the case. But there's no doubt that his attacking work at the moment is way below the level it has been out of the past at United.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he basically got, he at one point in his career was a 10. And last season he was a 6 and an effective one, and then he got dropped because Mourinho found a shinier new player, and it's hard on him because I have to say Herrera is not great when he comes in for one-off games. He seems to need the rhythm in order to build confidence, but he's had a whole bunch of games now with Pogba out, and he's not managed to build the confidence there either, which is really unfortunate. So yeah, he had a stinker. In fact, is there anyone who didn't have a stinker? Matic was okay, and Bailly was okay, and De Gea did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
that's it, right?
Agreed. Agreed.
Not good.
Real bad. And I have to say, I am reluctant to just be like, oh yeah, Mourinho's terrible. Mourinho's doing a terrible job, because I think, there's not that I'm like Mourinho's brilliant. Mourinho's doing a brilliant job. I'm not voting for him to be manager of the year or whatever over here. But there's got to be some balance in the conversation when the players are playing this badly.
Of course, and I think there is on this particular podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we offer some balance. I mean, there was a story in the Manchester Evening News the other day saying he's looking for a pay rise and blah, 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 blah. And I think I tweeted at the time, it's hard to like someone who allows his people to brief that he's off or brief blackmail every other day. And that's the problem. There's a context to United not playing very well, Mourinho trotting out his less than expansive football, having a go at the fans and trying to get out of the club, it seems, all coming at the same time. So it's hard to be feeling that positive about him. Of course, things could change around. So United play Newcastle at the weekend. Pogba is back in training. Maybe he'll be on the bench. We'll return to the standard 4-0 and everyone will feel good about themselves again. And Champions League qualification is a point away. And we can all sort of move on and get over this little blip. But right now, feeling a little bit less than positive.
All right, let's do a bunch of Rantcast questions because we have got so many, and we talked about that game for way longer than I was expecting, given it was a week ago.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks ago, and we've done half an hour of ranting about it. But to be honest, I think this was quite tame because I was absolutely livid in the aftermath of that. Fuming.
It was very funny. It was funny. Our WhatsApp group was funny. Interesting question from Stuart Barker. Not your. I want to clarify it. No relation as far as I know. We def miss Paul Pogba, but he's been made out to be the Messiah, although he's never really shown up in our big games. Am I wrong? First of all, Stuart, there was no need to at Paul Pogba in that. Absolutely none. Like, what Paul Pogba was like reading his tweets, going, oh, they're asking me, they're saying I never showed up in big games. Now he's all down.
You destroyed his confidence, Stuart. Destroyed. It's like when Mkhitaryan listens to this podcast. More he listens to it, the worse his performances get. I
do think there is a valid point to Pogba not being the Messiah. I think, for example, he was brilliant in the final of the Europa League, which was the biggest game of the season by miles. And in the last 20 minutes of the League Cup, he was absolutely instrumental to us winning that. But, apart from those two games, he's never really shown up in the big game. So he's obviously not the Messiah, but we've just missed him so much. It's natural that, they say players get better and better while they're out injured if the team's playing badly. But he's Paul Pogba. He doesn't need to get any better. He's already brilliant, although it...
Yeah, I always thought the narrative about him not showing up in the big games was unfair, and a lot to do with like individual moments that people remember. So if he'd scored a couple of screamers in those games, I'm sure the story would have been very, very different. If he'd scored, 6 or 7 of those shots that hit the post last season, people would be talking about him very differently.
Friend of the show, Kat, says, with Moyes going to West Ham, should we all spare a thought for Chicharito?
Oh, God. I mean, he's just got to have woken up in the morning. Yeah, before we started recording, you were saying, I don't really like listening to the news in the morning.
Yeah.
That was his worst day for a long time when he woke up and David Moyes has been appointed. Poor lad.
I mean, like, I know I'm really boring when I talk about David Moyes, but it's just not out of my system yet. And it's not because he didn't do a good job at Manchester United. Like, I don't have any beef with Louis van Gaal, you know what I mean? Like, I don't wake up in the middle of the night and think about how terrible Louis van Gaal is. But David Moyes, like, to give David Moyes the job when your team is fighting against relegation and all kind of shorn of hope and confidence, and you're going to put a hope vacuum into that role, and all these journalists going, well, give him a chance, he was good at Everton. It's a brilliant article by a Sunderland fan breaking down everything Moyes did at Sunderland that was completely unnecessary, that completely ruined that team. And of course we all saw what he did to United that was completely unnecessary, that completely ruined that team. But the combination of his constant deflecting of anything being his fault, the weird kind of nationalistic undertones and not exactly even undertones of some of his kind of views, the fact that he threatened to slap a female reporter in a way which, when you watch that, is really, really creepy and unpleasant. Honestly, I've got no time for him. And Gold and Sullivan appointing him. If I was a West Ham fan, when Gold's kind of coming out and going, you've got to get behind the team and get behind the manager, I'd be like, I'm just not going to go. It's disgusting giving Moyes that job and then trying to make the fans swallow it as a good thing.
I know. Well, you know, British jobs for British managers. Gary Neville will be happy.
They're all going on about young British coaches not giving a chance. And as Daniel Story of Football 365 has been at absolutely brilliant pains to point out, the reason young British managers don't get a chance in the Premier League is old British managers.
Yeah. Is Allardyce going to wind up at Everton? Wow. I mean, just how many signs did West Ham need to know this was just a terrible appointment? His record at Everton isn't even that good. I mean, it isn't that good. He didn't supersede their financial power. So sorry, he's just not good. He's just not good, and he's never been good, and he's got worse. And he was found out at a big club, his first ever big job. He was found out when he went abroad because, you know, they don't like it Upham in Spain, apparently. Apparently they did. And they definitely didn't like him Upham in Sunderland, where he absolutely ruined a horrible team, you know? So, West Ham, yeah.
That's 2 if you count, by the way, Tom.
I'm gonna say right now, 2 is about how many games West Ham will win before the end of the season.
At Jay Bonser says, what does Jose want for Christmas? It was all so happy last Christmas when, after the West Brom win, he got the team to throw their shirts into the crowd.
Yeah, he wants a hug and some Xanax.
A flat. Somebody get the man a flat so he doesn't have to live in a hotel anymore.
Maybe he likes living in the Lowry.
Maybe, but surely that can't be good for your emotional well-being. My friend at Tom McGee says, with all the current problems at United, i.e. Pogba missing, some players playing woefully out of form, and Jose being Jose, do you think Assassin's Creed Origins has rejuvenated the franchise? Yes! What a game! Sorry, bit of a tangent there. We snuck it in between us, me and Tom did. But yeah, Assassin's Creed, having got a little bit stale over the years, they took a year off and have come back with an absolute classic, running around ancient Egypt. It's all the rage these days. At Cali, by the way, shout out to James, who I met at the WWE show that I went to. I mentioned that because I'm talking about video games. And then I was thinking about other things I'm not supposed to talk about on the podcast, and wrestling was the main one. At Cala99 says, do you miss Albert Morgan? Do you think maybe Albert Morgan's departure hit the club harder than we expected? Because, you know, his morale has really gone downhill since he left.
It seems unlikely, to be honest, Paul. Do they even wash kits anymore?
I believe they do, actually.
I just don't believe it. I think it's gonna take more time and effort than to just produce a few more. You know, they just send Juan Mata down to the megastore.
He's not doing anything else at the moment. He's on Jose. He's receiving punishment beatings for the mistake he made against Huddersfield.
I do kind of like the idea of they have a secret, dingy room at Carrington where they beat the players.
I do not like that idea. At Farron MUFC says, what seems to be the problem with the club right now? There seems to be something missing. There you go, Ed. You want a serious question? Get your teeth into that.
I think we've said it all.
Okay.
We need the spirit of Moyes. That's what we need.
Loads of questions about who should be Mourinho's successor, but I wrote an article about that and I don't want to talk about it anymore because there is no good answer. Like, the only good answer that makes sense is Pochettino at the moment, right? And I don't even know if he'd come. Maybe he would.
In a heartbeat.
Do you think so?
Still Manchester United.
I know, but he's at a club where he's absolutely loved, with the squad he's kind of built, and not only built, but nurtured. They're about to move into a absolutely amazing top of the line stadium
which they'll be paying for the next 10 years.
Do you think that's, have they not done all the deals and all that to make it manageable? It's not like they've got a massive operating budget anyway, is it? And they're doing pretty amazingly under the circumstances.
No, true, but it's still Spurs, and it's still Manchester United. So I think if he was offered the job, it wouldn't take very long for him to say yes at all.
Okay.
There are plenty of other caveats about Pochettino. Still not won anything. I don't know how much that really matters, although Ferguson had won plenty before he joined United. It's given the nature of the Premier League, it is basically only a few clubs that can win trophies anyway. So I don't know why that's unfair. Given that he also gave up on the League Cup this year. I don't know. We'll see. Well, once Mourinho walks out to PSG, United will be putting the offer in, I assume.
Yeah. We'll find out, I guess. It's at Rory Murph 1 says, do you see any realistic set of circumstances unfolding that would see Jose leave before the end of this season? That'd be just complete.
No, unless there's a massive meltdown.
Catastrophe, no. That would. They'd really be getting gigs back from Vietnam, where he's accepted the job of Director of Football Development somewhere. Apparently, I saw a headline and didn't read any further, so that might be fake news, in fact.
That doesn't seem like a good idea, Ryan. Don't do it.
At Michael_Gat says, Mourinho isn't going anywhere. How fickle are we just after we won 2 trophies already? It's not about us being fickle, it's about him being fickle. No, obviously there are a few United fans that never wanted Mourinho that are kind of gleefully waiting for him to leave and to kind of be proven right. But I think the vast majority of United fans would gladly have Mourinho for 5 years, assuming it meant he was doing well and, all that kind of stuff.
Look, if all the stars are aligned in the right way, United playing decent football, winning football, he's progressing, he's not having a go at the fans, he doesn't look dishevelled and like he's having a nervous breakdown, and the club's onwards and upwards, then sure, everyone wants him here for a long time because we all want success. We know what comes with that, of course. I don't think it's ever going to be United ever going to be playing beautiful tiki-taka style football, or whatever it is at City these days under Mourinho, but it should be winning football under Jose. Maybe this last month is just a blip and we'll be back on course, starting with Newcastle at the weekend.
I know you're trying to link to getting out of questions, but we've just had so many.
No, I'm not. I was just simply saying that, this is a chance for United to get back on to winning ways.
At RedVedDev says, next time I'm out of work, I'm just going to go around telling potential employers how terrible a worker I am and wait for the offers to come rolling in. To be fair, I think what Moyes has mostly been saying is how terrible everyone's treated him everywhere he's been, To just do that. Just be like, oh yeah, my last employers didn't give me long enough to learn the job. Whenever you compare football to actual real life jobs, it always seems so utterly bizarre. There's just no other field of life where any of this would be acceptable, is there?
What, David Moyes being appointed? No, there is no field of life in which David Moyes being appointed is acceptable.
At B Bishop 87 says, has Jose's shtick suddenly got way more exhausting, tiresome in the last few years, or does it just seem way less amusing when he's your manager and not someone else's? I have to say, I thought the charm had slightly deteriorated by the time he was back at Chelsea for the second time.
No, I think it had. I think he'd become angry, Jose. See, the thing is, during his first spell with Chelsea, he, as well as the ridiculous arrogance and picking fights with people all the time, he was also quite charming.
Yep, there's a glint in his eye.
There's not a lot of that left.
It still kind of appears from time to time, but it disappears just as quickly and it doesn't last any longer. Vlasveld says, United is the job Jose's always wanted. Do you think now he has it, it's not what he expected? He seems miserable. And then he says, but you can never tell if it's all mind games. It's definitely not all mind games. There's no way he's getting credit for this being about mind games. I think this myth that United fans have that this is the job Jose always wanted, like, that is based on very scant evidence.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, well, to return to a theme, Duncan Castles is insistent that he made a decision to go back to Chelsea, was offered the job and chose Chelsea ahead. New book on Jurgen Klopp this week claims that, just released this week, claims that he was also offered the job before Moyes in 2013.
I mean, who wasn't? Guardiola was, right? Fergie had dinner with him in New York. Ancelotti, Fergie says he rang Ancelotti. Your job now is to stand by our new manager because I can't find any others.
I mean, I'd like to believe the narrative that somehow United had a great big long list and just, the stars did not align and somehow all these great managers who would have jumped at the chance normally, United were just a bit too late with Guardiola and Ancelotti, and Mourinho was just going back to the club he really loves in Chelsea, and Klopp. Well, what did you say? The pitch wasn't right. Okay, so United fucked that one up.
That's
so
three.
Goes the story. No, it's my 4 or 5 managers actually. And they got so desperate that they went to the only other manager that Ferguson could remember, which was his old pal Moyes.
This is an interesting take. At _Taylor Ben says, are we all so gloomy all of a sudden because Jose has actually upped our standards? Bar has been extremely low the past couple of seasons. I do think there's some validity in that, but what I think it's more like is just we were all so relieved that United seemed to be good and all collectively so hoping that the first sign of a decent team wouldn't smash the wheels off United's season, but in fact that's exactly what's happened. I mean, certainly speaking personally, that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
No, I mean, it might. I mean, look, I think there's more nuance than we're just not very good, but there's some of that too. This is a team in progress and not progressing as rapidly as we'd like. I really hope it doesn't mean that we're going to start slipping back now, and actually, what United will be doing is fighting for 4th place.
Yeah, I mean, so be it. But there's one of my main reasons for that not wanting to be the case is I can't think of anything new to say about it in this context or in the written word or anything. But anyway, at Matt _Del Brocco, and this is a question for you, maybe. If United players were characters from Stranger Things, then who is who? I'm guessing Stranger Things. Is that in your wheelhouse? Have you watched that, Ed?
It is, but I haven't started with the second season yet.
Okay, so I won't get any of these references. Isn't there? There's a character called 11, right? That's got to be Ryan. That's got to be Ryan Giggs, presumed. Adnan Januzaj, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I mean, 11 has psychokinetic powers and can make people fly through the air, and he's able to see monsters in an other world called the Upside Down. Doesn't really sound like Ryan Giggs to me.
I mean, it would kind of explain the look in Ryan Giggs' eye.
Well, the 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, he's just seen things, man. He's seen things.
I mean, it might explain José Mourinho. I mean, mind games, that's mind games, isn't it? You throw someone across the pitch. I bet he'd love to do that, wouldn't he?
I've never seen this programme, so I cannot contribute beyond knowing what one of the...
It's good. You have a Netflix subscription? Yeah, I'd go for it.
It doesn't look like my cup of tea, to be honest. Anything with monsters.
I have trouble. I got to admit, I have trouble getting through the amount of content there is in the world. Just can't do it. I don't have enough time. I did just finish American Graffiti, which was quite funny.
What, the film?
Not graffiti. It's about graffiti. American Vandal.
Oh, okay.
Which is a kind of mockumentary. So it's making fun of things like Making a Murderer and Serial. The premise is that a set of cars at a high school have been vandalised with knobs. 27 of them, and a student has been accused, and the student TV station doesn't believe he did it. Set out to prove his innocence. It was amusing.
This made me think of a Mark Maron joke, which is nowadays when people tell you about a TV show they're watching, not only have you not heard of the TV show, but you've also not heard of the channel on which it's airing. Anyway, at Sporting Glasses says, why am I becoming apathetic in my support of United? Was I a glory fan through my teens? Was it the birth of my two sons? Is it my age, 36? Is it BT's fault? Is it Twitter's fault? Is it Moyes' fault? Why?
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting question, and I do think, in a way, it's important to just let yourself have ebbs and flows. There's no right way or wrong way to do this, you know. We're all going to have periods where we're not feeling it. I was quite happy this week that United weren't on. Felt like a free weekend, you know.
Have you been watching any of the international football? The World Cup qualifiers and all of that?
I watched
friendlies.
I watched 3 minutes of the end of Republic of Ireland, Denmark. Have you?
No, I saw a little bit of that. Saw a tiny little piece of the England game, some of the Northern Ireland game. Very unlucky, actually. Northern Ireland were over two legs. I don't think I watched much else. England play France or something like that, don't they, this week? Probably will have played them by the time this comes out.
All right, final question. Brazil, England are playing Brazil.
No, yeah. I'm lying. It's Brazil.
The best thing that happened I tell you what, I have seen some of the action from international break. I've seen the video of Paul Pogba hugging all the French players, and it made me so happy because, it's nice to see that the French squad feel about Paul Pogba the same way I do. You know, when Antoine Griezmann sees him and it's like a long-lost brother, and he's so relieved to see him, he's just channeling every other United fan in the world as he cuddles Paul Pogba.
He did. He even said, I'd like a cuddle.
He did. He said, "Fais grand câlin." It was nice. I had an at-reply from someone saying, this is exactly what's wrong with Man United today. And I'm like, first of all, there's only one Man United player in the whole thing. Oh, no, Martial makes a brief appearance. So, and it's like, nobody in the 94 or 99 squad would have had put up with that. And it's like, well, it's not the problem with United. I mean, if you want to say it's a problem with society or modern football, then that's fine. Although I think friendship is not a problem. It's just ridiculous. But it's definitely not a United-specific problem, that's for sure.
Yeah. I want to cut out that kind of thing. Also, 3 United players involved because Griezmann's coming in January.
Yes, of course. Having a terrible time at Atletico, isn't he? There's all manner of struggles.
Get yourself to Manchester, son. It'll fix all your problems. Create a few others, but
famously, basket case Manchester United, the perfect place to go. Anyway, hopefully we'll be a bit less basket case when we take on Rafa Benitez's Newcastle United at Old Trafford on Saturday at 5:30.
Is that a fact?
It's Rafa, isn't it? Rafa's cracking up. There'll be lots of anti-Rafa Benitez chants, so fans will be able to keep themselves from booing Lukaku with that.
No, I think I'll take a minor time out to boo Rafa Benitez. In between the heckling of Lukaku. It's what we do. We destroy our own players' confidence, just in order to deflect from the failings of our succession of managers who aren't Fergie.
So what can we expect from Benitez's Newcastle United at Old Trafford on Saturday, Ed?
They are not a terrible team, are they? discuss?
Oh no, there was a reason I asked you. I don't know. They're Newcastle, aren't they? They've been struggling a bit of late. They kind of had initially struggled a bit, then they kind of had a bit of an uptick in form. But there's been a good deal of frustration among their fans as they lost 1-0 at home to Bournemouth last weekend. The week before that, they lost 1-0 to Burnley. And the week before that, they only beat Palace 1-0. And the week before that, they drew 2-2 with Southampton away. So they're not a terrible team, but they're not a very good one either.
No, but this is a Newcastle side that's been relegated twice in the last 5 years. Yeah, so and has, despite all the fans that turn up, 50,000 fans turning up every week, has achieved precisely nothing in its 100-something year history. So this is a mediocre club, most often represented by a very mediocre team, sometimes a really terrible team. So at the moment, halfway up the Premier League, with a manager who has won more trophies than Newcastle has in its entire history, they're doing all right.
Sure, they are in fact doing all right, but we certainly shouldn't be expecting a repeat of the Moyes era result when Newcastle came. I mean, I feel like, so the Moyes, we lost to Newcastle at home because that was one of those many records that he smashed. Then we drew 0-0 on the opening day of the season when Chicharito left. Was that Van Gaal's first season? Yeah, because that was, Chicharito came on as a sub in that game, I remember. And then they weren't in the Premier League last season. The season they were relegated, I reckon we must have beaten them, no? In that season I can't remember. But anyway, we've managed to not have a very good home record against them recently, but surely we'll be back to 4-0 situations this weekend. Yeah,
I mean, look, they've got a lot of pretty mediocre players. I'm trying to think who's any good. Mbemba in central midfield has had a decent season so far, I think. Mikel Merino, the young Spanish player, has been all right as well.
He's probably long-term too good for Newcastle, it's fair to say.
Trying to think who else. I mean, everyone points to John Joe Shelby, but actually I don't think he's been... When I've seen it, not that I make a habit of watching Newcastle every week, I don't think he's been that good. He's just not that good a player. He's just a mouthy little who used to play for Liverpool.
What's that for? That's 4? I think that's 4.
I think he played more times than that for Liverpool, but not too many more.
A player who's done really well this season and attracted a great deal of positive response is Jamal Lascelles, who is
a good central defender,
and he's their captain in spite of the fact that he's like a very young man. So that's big things. And importantly for them, Matt Ritchie's been getting assists again this season, which. In Bournemouth's promotion season, Matt Ritchie was an absolute assist machine. And I'm not sure how he did last campaign for Newcastle, but I guess in the Championship, probably pretty well. Nice to see him have a better crack at the Premier League because there's a player in there somewhere for sure.
He's definitely a player. So will United be setting up with 6 at the back in order to make it hard for Newcastle?
I mean, the interesting question is, what on earth is he going to do with the midfield? Because if he plays Matic, Herrera and Mkhitaryan as a 3 in midfield, it's definitely not going to be 4-0 if that happens. I would perceive a likely struggle if that happens.
Yeah, Matic, Mkhitaryan and Herrera in midfield. I mean, it's his go-to and it's not been working. It's also the game in which you would expect Newcastle to line up with 3 at the back, 5 at the back, and for them to do a Benitez. Benitez, the master of getting the result with a reasonably negative outlook on things. And this is one where United need to have 70% possession and take it to the opposition.
So I guess my dream lineup would be something like De Gea, probably Blint, Jones by. Valencia across the back 4, and then maybe like a midfield 3 of McTominay, Herrera, and Matic. When I say dream lineup, I mean with the players who presume are available. There's no chance of that happening because Fellaini would play. In fact, Fellaini's going to play, isn't he? So it's going to be maybe even Fellaini and Matic. And then up front, I'd love to see a 4-3-3 with Martial, Rashford and Lukaku up front. So
You definitely got one player missing there. Yeah, is Juan Mata fit? Can he come into midfield? I mean, he never does.
I mean, if Mata plays, it's going to be 4-2-3-1 with Mata on the right, isn't it? And then Martial's not going to play, and everyone's going to be sad. Well, I'll be sad.
Has he started with Martial and Rashford at all in the Premier League together?
No, definitely not, because Lukaku started every game in the Premier League.
There you go. Not going to happen. There may be a change with Mkhitaryan dropping out, but it doesn't. I mean, he's been as bad as it gets, and he hasn't been dropped so far. So I'm not sure. And if he does, it's Lingard that's coming in. So perhaps Lingard comes in for Mkhitaryan, Rashford starts on the left, Lukaku up front, and someone else on the right. Not quite sure who that is.
Yeah, so I was just talking about, I wasn't talking about realistic lineup. I was talking about what my dream lineup would be. I guess the realistic lineup is going to be Ashley Young at left back, maybe even Smalling and Bailly, and then Valencia at right back.
Oh, Jones is injured, right?
Oh, is he? Did he get injured for England?
Yeah, hobbled off. I mean, he started the game with strapping. Not a good sign when you're Phil Jones.
What's wrong with us? Why are we cursed? All right, so Smalling and Bailly it is. And then I guess Young will play at left back and Valencia will play at right back, and it'll be Matic and Herrera with Mkhitaryan, Mata on the right, Rashford on the left, Lukaku up front. But that does feel a little bit like, well, it should be enough for Newcastle, but it does feel a little bit like we're kind of just trying to do the same thing to play the players out of the rut they're in. But I wonder whether something a bit more bold wouldn't be what's called for.
Well, I mean, maybe what's called for is Newcastle at home. You know, it should be able to play yourself out of that rut. And you know, whatever happens, we talked a lot about David Moyes in this podcast. Yeah, Mourinho is not going to. And we're going to try and make it difficult them. Is he?
No, he really is not.
The longest verb in the history of the English language, that house.
Yeah, I mean, and also, like, however kind of annoying things are with Mourinho, they're incomparable with the way they were annoying under Moyes. The problem with Mourinho is about expectations. It's the sense that it feels like it could and should be so much better than it is at the moment. But like you've said a few times on the show, and I suspect you probably don't actually believe this is necessarily the case, but maybe this is all just a bit of a blip. We should have another podcast with you after the Newcastle game, but just in case, immediately after that game on the Wednesday, we play FC Basel in the Champions League. You said we're a point away from qualification, but I mean, and that is technically true, but we would have to lose by really substantial margins because our goal difference is miles and miles better. We're effectively qualified. Do you think there's any chance he's going to play any kids in that game?
I mean, he might start McTominay. I don't think. I mean, we just haven't got the squad for all-out kids, circa Fergie 1992 style thing. Then I mean, so make a few changes. Might make 6 changes, something like that. And it's at home.
Away, Basel away.
Away, yeah. And they're not a great side at the moment. They've definitely been better Basel sides over the last few years. So it would be fair enough to make a few changes, play 3 at the back, nice and cautious, professional, couple of, fluky goals, and off you go.
Especially since the weekend after that is Brighton at home. So it's like he's got a lot of options in terms of, we're playing Newcastle at home, Basel away, Brighton at home, Watford away. Watford have tailed off a little bit from their kind of excellent start. These are 4 really, really winnable games to get the kind of wheels back on the bus.
Kind of need it as well, because actually you look at United's, need it just because need to get the momentum moving again. Look into December, and especially the Christmas period. It's not like it's there's games against Arsenal coming up at the beginning of December, then a derby a week later. They're tough for sure, but it's also like the amount of games around Christmas really, really crammed into a small period of time. I 100% guarantee if you've got the Mourinho bingo that he's going to complain about it. 100%.
I mean, and to be fair to him, like it is so between the 13th and the 1st, we play 7 games. It's absolutely ridiculous. The 13th, the 17th.
Yeah, and City have got far fewer games over that period, or they're much more spaced out.
Because we're playing on the 13th, 17th, 20th, 23rd, 26th, and 30th, and then the 1st. Playing on the 30th and the 1st. What? That's just ridiculous. Right, I'm going to be lining up behind Mourinho with placards agreeing with him. Down with it.
Hey, Matt Busby's side once played twice in 24 hours.
Yeah, was the just one small point of clarification? Was the game played at a kind of relatively similar pace then, or ? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, all action, all action.
All right, so.
And they play with muddy pitches as well.
After an all-action episode of the Rantcast, all that's left for us to do is predict the Newcastle scoreline. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Manchester United FC.
Ooh, went with the full name there. I can't possibly predict anything other than a 4-0 win, can I?
I don't think we're going to win 4-0.
No, game. I don't think confidence is there. But let's say okay, I'll go with 2-0 as well, and a last minute penalty for Romelu Lukaku that he skies into the Stretford end,
and everyone boos. All right. Boo. On that note,
I think we should just start there. Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. They were saying Romelu. Anyway, we will be back with another one of these podcasts, hopefully after the Newcastle game. If something goes wrong, it'll be after the Basel game. Until then, take good care of yourselves and enjoy watching Manchester United, and especially enjoy the rest of your life.
Wow, are you signing off permanently? That's a kind of final farewell.
I kind of mean, when I say the rest of your life, I don't mean in totality. I mean all the bits of your life in the next couple of weeks or the next week which don't involve Manchester United. That's what I'm talking about, really. All right, take it easy, everyone. Bye.
All right, bye.
The Rantcast is produced by Tom Jenkins and supported by listeners like you. Head to patreon.com/Rantcast to find out more.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.